We need to start with this. What if everything you thought you knew about someone you admired, someone the world has watched for decades, was just slightly off? Not a lie, not a scandal cooked up overnight, but a quiet, persistent thread that never quite matches the story we were told. We are digging deeper into this scandal than anyone else, so make sure you've hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the update coming later this week. It begins with numbers, simple numbers, a birth date, a year that seems so harmless, so straightforward. But when the details don't align, when the official timeline begins to fray at the edges, what was once a comforting story suddenly feels fragile, almost secretive. This isn't about a rumor someone whispered online. This is about pages in magazines, photographs from decades ago, and the silent reactions of those who lived through it. Think about it. One of the most recognizable women in the world, someone who has shared so much of herself publicly, might have been presenting a life that doesn't quite match the calendar. Not by a year, not by a rounding error, but by 6, 7, even 8 years. Imagine the courage, the fear, and the pressures that could drive someone to do that, to carefully manage an identity so deeply intertwined with the person the world thinks they know. And hey, race, why it matters. Age isn't just a number when it shapes opportunity. In Hollywood, especially for women, every year carries weight. Every birthday is a headline, every photo scrutinized. The pressure to appear younger, to keep a story neat, polished, and appealing, it's relentless. But the choice to adjust years? That's a decision that reverberates across your life. Every milestone suddenly gets recontextualized. College, career beginnings, relationships. Every memory has to fit into a version of yourself that may not be entirely real. Let's go back, all the way to 1997. A teen magazine published her age, 21. But according to the official timeline, she would have been 15. 15. A high school girl suddenly cast as a young adult in print. Not a casual mistake, it was in black and white. A name, a number, a detail meant to be factual. And yet, the number persisted, resurfacing again and again, picked apart by observers, skeptics, and a world that instinctively wants timelines to make sense. Now, supporters might say, it's just a typo. Magazines make mistakes. And yes, errors happen. But this isn't a single misstep, it's part of a thread, a pattern running quietly across decades, cropping up in photographs from college, in career timelines, in public appearances. Consider old group photos, classmates, friends, people she spent her formative years with, who today are in their early 50s. If she was born in 1981, that would make her 10 years younger than most of them. Look at the pictures closely. Does it seem like a decade separates her from everyone else? To the naked eye, no. She blends, she belongs, she's naturally among peers who, by the public timeline, should be much older. Micro hook, but what nobody expected was the way this pattern keeps resurfacing, refusing to be ignored. College graduation photos, early television roles, public appearances, each milestone examined, each age compared, each detail weighed. And then there's the first husband, Trevor, a producer who understood the industry and its obsession with narrative better than anyone. He stayed silent. Not a word, not a denial, not a subtle hint. Just silence. And in Hollywood, silence is a language. His quietness isn't neutral, it's deliberate, and it makes the questions linger even longer. Consider her television career. The game show, holding a briefcase, hoping to be seen, hoping to be noticed. At 25, it fits the narrative of a young woman building a life, a career, a future. But if she were older, the story shifts. Suddenly, that same job feels different, less of a stepping stone, more of a carefully managed facade. Every role, every audition, every carefully timed media appearance layered atop an age that may not be entirely accurate. Then came the breakout television role, the one that made her a household name. A character sharp, compelling, memorable. By the official timeline, she was 30 when she stepped onto that set. Perfectly reasonable. But if the alternative is true, if she was closer to her late 30s at the time, suddenly, the trajectory looks orchestrated, carefully curated. Years meticulously arranged to match the image of a young, rising star rather than someone who has been navigating Hollywood's pressures for decades. Micro hook, and it isn't just the career. Every personal milestone now reads differently. The high-profile wedding broadcast worldwide, announced at age 36 according to public record. A celebration framed as fresh, modern, youthful. But what if she were 42? How would that shift the way the world remembers it?
I'd missed being creative, and I'd missed being able to just have my hands in the granular of time-coded edits and bringing a vision to life. Yeah. And still all the rest of it will be there, and you can still hit your deadlines, and actually you might hit them even better because you feel full and balanced.
Not the vows, not the dress, not the carriage, but the image of a woman stepping into history at a different stage of life. A subtle difference, yet profoundly telling when the story has always been built around age, timing, and perception. Then there's the birth of her first child, Archie. A name, a certificate, paperwork reflecting titles and formalities, but even this seemingly mundane detail became a focal point. A minor administrative change, and suddenly, questions resurface. When every element is under scrutiny, nothing exists in isolation. Each update, each correction, becomes another thread in a tapestry of uncertainty. And at the heart of this, the father, Thomas Markle. He speaks openly about some things, with emotion, clarity, frustration. Yet when the question of her birth year arises, he hesitates. His answers soften, his focus drifts, his response becomes vague. Not because he can't speak, but because this question, this single number, carries a weight no other does. A detail that touches on identity, history, and truth in ways nothing else in their story ever has. Micro hook. It's this kind of hesitation that keeps people talking, keeps the story alive, keeps us leaning closer, whispering at the dinner table, wondering what really happened. When someone has been so public, so candid about family, career, and struggle, the silence about one detail speaks volumes. And the absence of a definitive answer? That's where the intrigue begins, where curiosity deepens, where a narrative once comforting becomes unsettling. And that brings us full circle. Magazine pages, college photos, career timelines, the ex-husband who never speaks, a father who falters only on a single, pivotal question. The public record still says 1981. Nothing has been overturned. And yet, the threads keep tugging at each other, impossible to smooth out. When you take the story as a whole, it isn't just about a birth date. It's about narrative control, identity, and the intricate dance between what the world sees and what might actually be true. Micro hook, and that's why, even now, decades later, this story refuses to fade. Because beneath the surface, something is unresolved. Something remains hidden, or perhaps carefully curated, just out of reach. And for those of us watching, it's a reminder that public figures, even those who share so much, still have parts of themselves that remain private, unverified, and quietly powerful. So where does that leave us, as observers? With a mosaic of details that refuse to settle, with a story that feels intimate yet elusive, familiar yet foreign. With a question hovering, how much do we really know about the lives we admire, the stories we take at face value, the images carefully constructed for our gaze? And for those of us drawn in by the whisper of uncertainty, the subtle inconsistencies, the unspoken silences, it's impossible not to wonder what other truths lie just beneath the surface. We've walked through magazines, photographs, timelines, and family dynamics. We've explored every hesitation, every silence, every number that doesn't quite add up. And now, I want to hear from you. What do you think is really behind this story? Is it a pattern of careful image management, or is it just coincidence, misprints, and human error? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's talk about it. And before you go, don't forget subscribe and hit that bell so you won't miss the update we're bringing later this week. And if you've been following this thread, a quick like helps us know you want more whispers, more insights, more of the stories that make us lean in together. Because some stories aren't just told, they're discovered, pieced together, and felt. And this one, it's far from over.